welcome. What we have here is the setup for Darklands. You'll notice a couple key differences. Number one being this whole new row of landscapes right in the middle of mine and Nathaniel's. We have specific landscapes in a specific order here because the forces of the Darkland are making their way through this portal, through the forest, down the road, across the moat, to our castle where they are trying to destroy us, led by the vicious Overlord. For this game, we're going to be playing with Captain Ratbeard. The Overlord is leading a faction. You're also going to mix in a little bit of a faction deck from another Overlord as well. That's going to compose our 20-card army deck, which we have right here. The Overlord has 99 HP, and our goal is to reduce it to 0 to win and defend our realm. Now, the Overlord has a couple of ways to win. They can either break down these barrier cards, or they can reduce either myself or Nathaniel to 0 HP for our characters, which we actually have, ta-da, on the back of our hero cards now. So I'll be playing as Flame Princess.
And I'll be playing as Fern.
Excellent. These are two new characters from one of our packs for this Kickstarter. Everything here is prototypes, nothing is fully final components, so just keep that in mind when you see things like little cube. The Overlord also has a couple of other key features to them. They usually have their own unique signature move, which can be triggered by Darklands creature cards within their army deck, or by curse cards, which represent the magic spilling forth from the portal into our realm. Curse cards are more like event cards, so you'll see them come up at least once a turn or round, and they have their own specific phase. The setup is complete. We also have our barrier cards. For this game, we're playing with 2 barrier cards. It's also important to note what the Overlord's threat threshold is and dire threat threshold. You'll see here on the Overlord card, there are 2 symbols down there. There is the threat and dire threat. This is basically the Overlord becoming threatened and enraged and getting more powerful as the end draws near. The threat threshold for the Overlord will be 60 for this game, and the dire threat will be 30. Our Overlord's ability is signature move. Each opponent deals 3 damage to their hero or to one of their creatures. And the threat threshold increases that damage to 5, and the dire threat threshold increases that damage to 7. We have our 5 cards drawn like a normal game. We'll go through step by step how the game's going to play. The first phase is the invasion phase. In this phase, what we'll do is we'll advance any Darklands creatures on the landscapes further towards the moat and off the moat onto a barricade if they're there. But since we have nothing at the start of the game, we're actually going to summon onto the portal, which is the second step of the invasion phase. Now, Darklands creatures play like normal creatures, but they are a little bit stronger and have a lot of conditional effects. So it's very important to read through each card as it appears and as it advances, because it might have a triggered ability depending on what space it enters into. The Doom Squawker says when it enters play, for each opponent with 15 or less HP, the Overlord performs its signature move. So since this is the start of the game, we both have 25 HP. That won't trigger once or even twice. Then we go into the second phase of the game, which is the planning phase. This is like normal Card Wars in that Nathaniel and I will play our cards. We have our regular 2 actions. We can use an action to draw a card like normal, but the difference is the timing. Both Nathaniel and I can play at any time. We can play before each other, after each other. We can communicate about when we would like to play cards, like, hey, hang on a second, I got something that might help your card, or actually I want to do this thing first, then you can go somewhere else with your creature so we can maybe deal some damage. So start of the planning phase, we'll each be able to draw a card for turn, so we'll have 6 cards in our hand. I'm going to start by playing an action for 0. It's Hotshot. It allows me to burn target creature, which is Flame Princess's ability, and then deal 1 damage to it. So I have burn tokens, which I'll be putting on the character, and it'll deal some damage to it as well. But at the start of each turn, for each burn token on a creature or player, they receive 1 damage. 1 for the burn and 1 for the additional damage.
I'm going to go ahead and play this Kangaroo Bat over here for free.
I'm going to actually use an action to play a Flamingo Burn Warden, which allows me to remove a burn token from an opposing creature to deal 1 damage to target opponent. I'm not going to do that just yet, but maybe as this thing gets further down the line, we'll be able to do that. Yeah, and with my last action, I will draw a card.
I'm going to play a Cherished Hobgoblin here, the Refined Armadillo, says that if I played a creature with cost 2 or greater this turn, I may play it for free.
Alright, so now that we've both completed all our actions, we'll go into what's known as the curse phase. We'll draw one of these curse cards from the deck, reveal it, and follow out its actions. So put a sword on each Darklands creature, and then a signature move will occur. So we'll follow this in order, resolving each piece at a time. So we'll just say this is a sword token, and what a sword token is an increase of +1 on the attack value on whatever creature it's on. And then we'll perform the Overlord's signature move, which for this Overlord is each opponent deals 3 damage to their hero or to one of their creatures. I'm just going to take it to the face, I think. Go down to 22. If we were at the threat threshold, we'd be putting 2 additional attack tokens on each Darklands creature. That's the end of the curse phase, which is the 3rd phase of a round. We go into the fight phase. Now, this fight phase is a little bit different from normal fight phases in Card Wars. Usually in Card Wars, combat is resolved in the attacker's choice, whoever's active turn it is. But in the cooperative mode, we're always going to be going from the moat to the road to the forest to the portal for resolving our attacks. If we look over here, starting at the moat, we see that this kangaroo bat has 2 attack, and there is nobody in the moat, therefore the Overlord will take 2 damage. Anytime the Overlord doesn't have a creature in a lane, they take damage to the face, just like in regular Card Wars if you're playing against a regular opponent.
So Kangaroo Bat says when they damage an opponent, I get to put an attack token. So now this has 3 attack.
Boom. Next, we go to the forest, and we have...
The Cherished Hobnoblin's got 3 attack. There's no creature in the Darklands, so we're going to go ahead and deal that 3 more damage to the Overlord.
Wonderful. Now, here's where things get interesting. We each have an attacker, and there is a Darklands creature here for us to attack, and who will also attack us. Now, both of our creatures will deal their full damage to the Darklands creature, and the Darklands creature will deal its full damage to each of our creatures. So we'll each take 7 damage on our creatures, so that keeps me in the game still, but sadly...
That is enough to take out the Refined Armadillo.
But I'm dealing 2, you're dealing 3, that's 5. It is 1 away. But then we check for any end of turn abilities. We don't have any. So then we move on to the second turn. Now, the second turn, we always go back to the invasion phase. So we advance, but because it's the beginning of the turn and there is a burn token on this Doom Squawker, we're just going to deal another damage to it. It hits 8. That's the end of it. It actually gets discarded. So advance would happen, but there's nothing to advance. So we then summon. Remember, you're always going to summon even if you do advance. So now we've got the Road Killer. Now, this is, as you can see, from a different Overlord's faction, but the deck is comprised of 2 different factions mixed together. When Road Killer enters the road, destroy a barrier. This card has a conditional effect for when it enters this specific landscape, so we got to remember that and keep that in mind. We're moving on to planning phase. We each get to draw a card. I really don't want that guy to get any further, so I'm going to use my Titanbane Amulet. It's a rainbow spell. For 2 actions, I can destroy target creature and lose HP equal to its attack. To have a clear map, sounds great to me. We can deal way more damage that way. Cool.
Alright, I'm going to play a Chivalrous Armadillo. When it enters play, I can heal 3 damage from another creature. I don't have any damage, but my friend over here has a damaged creature, so I'll go ahead and heal 3 damage off of that.
Thank you so much!
And then, if that creature still has damage, which it does, I get to draw a card. Okay, and then I still have 1 more action. Play a Treasured Hobnoblin. And then this has a flip to let me draw a card. No attack, so I'm just going to go ahead and loop that to draw a card.
Alright, so then we go into the curse phase, the 3rd phase. We're going to reveal the top curse here. It's Road Rage. If the road is empty, summon a Darkling there. Otherwise, play another curse. Now, Darkling is a special kind of Darklands creature that shows up only when summoned by specific card effects. Now, it's a standard 3/5, no text block. So we move now to the fight phase. We're going to start over in the moat.
So Kangaroo Bat's now going to deal 3 since it has a attack token on it.
Awesome.
It dealt damage to an opponent, so it's going to get another attack token.
And then I've got nothing to contribute here. So we're going to move over here to the road. The Hobnoblin is just going to take that 3. And, you know, I've got to take that 3 because I have no defender in my landscape. So I'm going to go down to 16. And then we're over here in the forest.
So Cherished Hobnoblin's going to deal 3 more damage to our Overlord.
Like, thank you for carrying this game, by the way. because I'm clearly not. And then finally in the portal, I've got 2 I can contribute.
And another one here, so 3 total.
3 more. And then we would check for in-turn effects. There is none. So then we're going to go back to the top, and we'd continue playing then until either both of our barriers would be destroyed, or we'd reduce them to 0, or one of us gets reduced to 0, because let me tell you, I'm on my way. But let's talk real quick about barriers, because we didn't really get to see those. So if the Darkling were to advance from the moat into the castle, we would destroy it. It would go back to the supply, and we would reveal the top card of the barrier deck. Now, this one says Brain Barrier. Each hero draws 2 cards. Barrier effects will usually give a little bit of respite to the players to give them an extra effect, give them a fighting chance, but it does mean you're one step closer to the end of the game. Try your best, build up your decks, rally the troops. The Darklands are coming. Will you be ready for them? I don't know.